Welcome back, y'all, and happy Friday. This is the Bluechip Breakdown, and I'm your host, Bull. We just got huge news that Mike Matthews will be returning to the Tennessee Volunteers in 2025. And yeah, just kind of skimming through some of these comments as I'm coming in. I'm seeing where people are like, yeah, it kind of felt like everyone was freaking out because it felt like Mike Matthews was going to leave. And that is for good reason. Like, you have to understand that if he would have left, Tennessee would have only had two scholarship veteran wide receivers inside of that room. That is a huge problem. So obviously him staying here is, that's a really great sign, I think, for the future of this team in 2025, especially. Please do make sure to like and subscribe whenever y'all come in. I also want to kind of highlight this because a lot of folks were asking, what was the deal with Mike Matthews? Was he leaving more because of Nico, or do you want more money? It does sound like he first entered into the portal based off of being unsure what Nico is going to do, but he never asked for any more money. And that's based off of the insiders over there on Volcourse. They're saying that he didn't ask for any more money. He was more concerned with how is the scheme going to look, how are they going to use him and things like that, which, man, for Nico to do that, then for Mike Matthews to do that same thing, obviously that's got to be a pretty big wake-up call for Coach Heupel. I think for Coach Pope, this one, I talked about this yesterday. Hey, if Matthews ends up leaving, it might be time to say bye to Coach Pope. But this could have potentially, I don't know all the ins and outs, but from where I'm sitting at, I'm thinking, hey, this could potentially have saved Coach Pope's job, in some sort of a way with Mike Matthews sticking around. Obviously, man, he is a five-star guy. He is extremely explosive. He has really good hands. He's tough. He's physical. Going to be wide receiver number one for us next year. But we've got some other guys. I think that Brazos one, who should have a really good season. Braylon Staley, he's another one. All three of those guys being the veterans inside of that room, you would expect a really nice season. And, man, we have a nice floor right now for our wide receiver room. We still got to go out, I think, and add some more pieces. So what I'm going to do is pull up how the room would look currently down at the bottom. 8 through 10, we're going to see like potential guys that Tennessee could go out and target or still add inside of the transfer portal. I don't know if we want to add all three of these guys at this point with Mike Matthews staying. You might only want to add two. And I think that Jefferson, the one up at the top, very good. Well, not up at the top, but he's going to be at number 8. He's on top of he's on top of all of the potential transfer players. Feel really good about him. He's a guy that can play slot, but he can also play outside. And, he's about 6 feet tall, 200 pounds. Obviously, if you go back up to the very top at number 1, Mike Matthews is about 6'1", 6'2", about 200 pounds. Excuse me. Chris Brazil is like 6'5", 200-plus pounds. Braylon Staley, 6 feet tall, about 190-ish. Boot Carter, I did throw him in here. There's an asterisk next to his name because obviously he's not going to be a full-time wide receiver, at least I don't think. I would anticipate that he's going to be kind of going back and forth, and we'll probably have a lot of packages for him because you can't just bring him in if you're going to give him the football. You got to bring him in to kind of like run some of the regular offensive stuff too, so the teams can't just key on him. But I don't know how full time he's going to be at a wide receiver, but I would anticipate probably more of a slot body. He's about close to 6 feet tall, maybe it's like a shade up under 6 feet tall, about 200 pounds. But, these are all guys, well, not all of them. I'll say that Mike Matthews is pretty shifty. Braylon Staley, Boot Carter, although, both of those guys are very shifty. Jefferson, he's another one. He's a shifty player. Now let's get down to the freshman at number 5, Travis Smith, 6'3", 200 pounds. He's going to have to play outside. I think he's going to have to play as a true freshman. Then we have Jackson. He's another one, inside-outside guy, about 6'2", 190. He can definitely make you miss. Very, very shifty. Dotson, about 6 feet tall, about 185. He's another one, shifty. So there's a lot of players now inside of our wide receiver room that are close to about 6 feet tall, and they're more shifty. They're more like make you miss. Whereas before with Coach Heupel, we saw a lot more of just the bigger bodies, more of the straight line speed, high point footballs and stuff like that. Not as much of the after the catch, make people miss and all of that. So we still have a little bit of that though, which is good. Brazil 6'5", and then Travis Smith at 6'3". Those would be the two biggest wide receivers inside of this room next season. So it is good to at least have some of that, like outside threat, some, like throw it up in like one-on-one jump ball situations. You still need that. I think it's good to have different body types inside of the wide receiver room. But just as far as who else we might be targeting, we already talked about Jefferson. I think that one, I haven't heard too much about a visit being set up, but I think that's going to happen here pretty quickly. Then we have Zachariah Branch, who everybody wants. Talk a ton about him. Obviously, he's a slot body, about 5'10", 175, maybe 180, very shifty. And actually, what I'm going to do because I forgot to do some of the other ones. Let me go ahead and pull this up for y'all, just so you can look at some of his highlights and things like that, or not really highlights, but just some of his clips from the All 22 that we put together on this channel. But yeah, I think that Tennessee will still try to go target him. I think that you want to add, I don't know if it's necessarily about adding a big name, but I think that there is something to be said about adding players with that name, because it makes the players on the defense say, man, this is Zachariah Branch. I might need to step off. I don't want to play him as close. I need to give him more cushion. Like, it makes him play different. And that can open up other things for us. Hopefully Tennessee will, use that, to benefit us. That's the biggest thing, because we've seen that before where Tennessee might have had some mismatches and teams are giving us certain looks. I don't feel like Tennessee really, benefited off of that as much as we probably could have. But he's a player that I think coming off of a visit to Miami, I think that him and his brother might be wrapping that up, and him and his brother are probably going to be a package deal. We'll see. Can we at least get him up on a visit? I think, I've said it several times, that if we can bring him up on a visit, him and his brother, that Tennessee will really quickly be one of his top programs. That doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be picking Tennessee, because I don't know exactly what they're looking for, but I think that Tennessee is in a good spot right now to go out and add a player like a Zachariah Branch. But at the same time, I think that at the slot, I don't know if we would necessarily need it as much with Mike Matthews staying. I don't think that it's as pressing of a need to bring in Zach Branch. That's just for me. The staff could feel totally different. But I think that for me, yeah, you still want to go get him, but it's not like life and death like it was if Mike Matthews would have been going on to a different program. So that's huge. Now let's talk about another player right here. Let's talk about Malik Benson, who is 6'1", about I think 195 pounds. He played at Florida State last season. He also played at Alabama. So this will be his third school. He's trying to find his third school in, I guess, 3 years. Maybe it might be 4 years, because I think that he is a senior. So either way, I think that this is another guy that's definitely an outside presence. With some of these clips, you will see him playing inside of the slot. It's good to know that he's at least comfortable lining up there, and just in case we need that. And I think that that's a good look. I think Tennessee, I think that you would want to have wide receivers that you could play at any spot, mix and match stuff, because you can create so many different mismatches from that perspective. That puts a lot more stress on the defense. And I'm not one of these people that falls into the, it's too hard to learn this stuff. Guys, it is not rocket science, okay? Like, running routes, even if it's option routes, I think that these players should understand football well enough to be able to read a coverage and tell, hey, this is cover 3, so my route needs to kind of sink down. Or they're playing over the top of me, so my route's going to be whatever the shorter option is. And if they're playing me close, and if I can get a beat on them, stack and, get on top of them and go deep, then obviously you're going to run that deeper route. That's not, I don't believe that it's that difficult. It's all the same dadgum routes. Like, you're going to run them from different places, but it's all the exact same routes. It's not that hard. So saying all that just to say that I would love to see Tennessee do that. I think that, Benson, he's a player that he's done some really nice things. He's more of a physical wide receiver, and I think that he could definitely add something. Now, I think, if I'm not mistaken, sounds like based on what the insiders are saying, that he's a little bit further on Tennessee's list for the wide receivers that will be targeted inside of the portal. Doesn't mean that he's not a very good football player. Just means that he's a little bit further down on that list. So, and this right here, this is going to be Jefferson's highlights from high school, because couldn't really find much of him playing in college. I think that he actually had like a minor hip surgery here just recently. So, it sounded like it was very, very minor. Hopefully it doesn't slow him down. But either way, this is how he looks. And he's another one, like we kind of touched on. He can play, in a lot of different spots, and he can be a good gadget piece for you. So I love how this is looking so far, because Tennessee goes out there and we get smacked by OSU. I think that it woke up a whole lot of things. We have Mike Matthews kind of flirting around with the portal here. Several wide receivers have left. And so, I think the Coach Polk gets it now. Hey, look, you got to play guys. Hopefully that spreads to Coach Sims, because you need to play more bodies. You can't just sit on your hands. You can't let these players rot on the bench. They need to get in the game as early and as often as possible. Okay. That needs to be our goal at every single, spot on this team. I don't care where it is. Everyone needs to try to get in, as much, excuse me, as much as possible. And I think that is the goal. But also, we know that we have to kind of switch some things up. Maybe some things kind of got stale with our route combinations, especially down the field. And now we're going out and we're getting more shifty players that can do maybe a little bit more. Maybe that'll help Coach Heupel, Coach Halsley, whoever else on the on the offensive side to maybe be a little bit more open things up with the route tree. because yeah, it's been a whole lot of vertical stuff, not enough crossing routes. Maybe now we feel like going out and getting these players that are a little bit more agile, that maybe they can run those routes better, and hopefully Tennessee is going to be ready to rock and roll. We'll see who else does Tennessee want to target as we're kind of going through the rest of these days. Now let me get to some of these chats right here from Matthew Wilkins. Good morning to you, and good Friday. Saying Matthew's leaving, skies falling. Matthews is staying. We're so back. Yeah, I kind of touched on that earlier. That's real though. You know what I'm saying? It would be the same thing if like Nico was leaving. If Nico was leaving, we know we'd be in a horrible spot. One player can do that. And I never felt like the sky was falling. I still feel like the same issues, that we need to fix. I still think that those issues are kind of there. I haven't seen us necessarily, I haven't really seen us fix it yet, right? We haven't played. I haven't seen us bring in any staff members from outside of the current staff, that's actually coached before, you know what I'm saying, with the whole different mindset and scheme. I think that we need to do some of that. And also for Matthew Wilkinson, obviously joking, but that's what it felt like at first. Yeah, I got that you was joking on that. Now, from Scott V, who is a member of the channel, thank you for that, Scott. And happy Friday to you. Saying, I'm glad Matthews is staying. He's a dog and can be a difference maker. We need playmakers, 100%. From Vol Fan for Life, saying Mike Matthews staying. Still need to fire Ellaby and Pope. I don't know, man. I think that I think the Pope is good. You know what I'm saying? I think that this was the one thing that I felt like I would be like, hey, yeah, he might need to go. If you lose your entire wide receiver room, including a 5-star freshman or a 5-star guy that's coming off of his freshman season, then yeah, we might need to make a change. But excuse me, I think that the little subtle change that he does need to make, he can make them. You got to give people a chance. I'm not one to just be calling for people's jobs. I think that Coach E, he's got to show some things. He also needs to, I think, improve on a couple of little minor details. I don't really like the way that we look in pass blocking. Our run blocking has looked good, but the pass blocking, especially with our tackles, has not been the best. And I don't think that any of the players that he brought in from high school have even sniffed the field, which that is a huge problem. So there's a lot of things that he needs to get better at. But I would say he's one that I'm watching closely. Same thing with Coach Pope. This is going to be hey, y'all got to prove it this year, or y'all really do have to go. From Twisted Fishing and Outdoors, saying if we can get the Branch brothers and a few more receivers from the portal, our wide receiver room will be deep for Nico to let it rain next year on offense. Yeah, I think that that's definitely what our goal is. At least hopefully that is what the goal is. We'll see. We'll see exactly how active can we be in bringing up some of these players on business, because we got to start doing that. The clock is ticking. Find out who you like and just go all in for them. Just like go get them right now. For Matthew Wilkinson, I really think it's more on Ellaby. I mean, go back and look at clips of the offense this year. The routes were there. Nothing develops when the O-line was garbage. Some wide receivers don't have twitch and speed. So there's a lot of, and I understand what you're saying there, but I think that there's a lot of issues there. Number one, you shouldn't have wide receivers that don't have twitch and speed. I don't think that was what the issue was. Number two, yeah, there was in some games, I mean, you got to let, if it's a 3-step drop, then you have to block. The offensive line needs to be able to block for that count. You know what I'm saying? Like for that, plus I would say another count and a half. But there were several route combinations that I didn't like that wasn't helping an offensive line whenever we saw that they weren't doing a good job blocking. If you know that the offensive line is not holding up for long enough, everything's got to be a lot quicker. So the routes need to be shorter, and whatever you have to do for that to work on all levels of your offense, you have to do that. I just, there were times that we just didn't do it. We just kind of sat back and said, hey, this is going to be 5 to 7 step drop. The right side's not holding up at all. They're getting beat off the snap of the football. Nico's running for his life, but let's run 5 to 7 step drops anyway. I think that those are the questions, or at least some of the questions that Nico and the players are probably asking, because it's more based off of the scheme. You know what I'm saying? Like, you've got to do a better job knowing what your personnel is, and your scheme should kind of speak to what your strengths and weaknesses are. And sometimes Tennessee's didn't do that. Put that on coaching. Now let's get down to the next play right here. To the next comment right here from Vol Fan for Life, saying, yeah, it's Pope's fault. He recruits them and they leave. Yeah. You do have to, sometimes he's going to have to be that bad guy. I don't know how much of the stuff, I don't know how much of the players are leaving this directly because Coach Pope's not doing a good job of getting them ready, or if they just weren't doing a good job of being consistent enough to see the field. It's really hard to say. Now, I will say this from all the clips that we saw which is always very, very limited sample size. But I think that Caleb Webb looked really good, very consistent from spring to summer. The whole offseason looked really good, and he barely even sniffed the field. I think we've kind of beat that, we kind of beat that drum several times, but there's a lot of players that we saw look good and that we know are talented, and they didn't see the field. So yeah, I had to put some of that on Pope, but he's probably going to stay. So it's no need. He's probably going to have one more year. He's going to have to get it right though. From Talking 10 saying, big to keep Matthews. Hope we still go after Branch and some of the others. Yeah, I think that we will. I don't think that we're going to let up off of Branch. We just got to get him on campus. Also from Talking 10 saying, also going to be interesting to see how we use Boo on offense now that we're keeping Matthews. Yeah, I think that it's probably going to be the exact same game plan. Mike Matthews is primarily an outside wide receiver that can play inside in certain situations, or I mean, in any situation, but he doesn't, he's more of an outside guy. Boo is more of a slot body. So whenever he comes in, it's going to be more some slot stuff, probably some more gadget stuff. But I want to see some gadget stuff for all of our players. Like, when's the last time Tennessee ran any sort of a trick play? We got to do a little bit more of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to kind of just loosen up, open things up, and just give the defenses a lot more to game plan for. That would be my suggestion to the staff. For what that's worth to them, which is probably absolutely nothing. From G4 saying the receiver room will be better in 25. Hypo's putting in work. Go Big Orange. Yeah, I think we have a great chance for the wide receiver room to be better in 2025. Again, you're talking about a lot. We're talking about more players that can make you miss, that can make things happen after the catch. So whereas, like, let's just say if we put some players that kind of fit that sort of an offensive scheme a little bit better, and if we were just running straight up and down routes where it's just hitches, it's just wide receiver quick screens and stuff, you're just getting the ball to your playmakers and letting them make plays. The offense probably would have been more productive last season with those types of players. Now, that's not to take away and say that the taller guys weren't good, because they had their strengths too, but Tennessee couldn't find a way to capitalize and maximize off of their strengths the way that we should have last season. But we got to be able to do both of those things this year. We're going to have different body types, which, I think that's going to be great for us to, open things up, for us to open things up with the offense. All right, let's get to this next one from Big Dog's Got to Eat. Excited to see what Boo could do on offense. Could really help mix up our scheme 100%. 100%. We just talked about that as well. From Ronnie McDaniel saying Nico won't hurt to leave play. Nico won't hurt to leave play that quarterback for Tennessee. I think he's a lot better than Nico. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Maybe try to rephrase that. I'm a little bit confused on if you might be talking about a different quarterback here, but I'm going to tell you, Nico is a baller. Nico is a dog. He wasn't perfect. No one's ever going to play perfect. So I think that as fans, that shouldn't even be what the expectation is. But I think that within what he was asked to do, he did some really nice things. Like we talked about with the offensive line, he's running for his life sometimes. Some of that was from the offensive line not doing a good job of holding up their blocks. Other times it was because of the route combinations down the field. People couldn't get open because literally, like, the defense, and it's crazy. Like, we might go back and watch film on this at some point over the offseason, but a whole lot of the plays, the secondary players barely even moved. Like, they would move to a spot, and it was exactly where our wide receivers were headed to. So they knew what we were doing. And it was too easy to stop that. So you make it hard on everybody if you're going to play like that. You got to mix stuff up, but you make it very difficult on your quarterback, especially as a redshirt freshman. But I think Nico's just fine. You can't teach that. You cannot teach his talent. You can't teach that. He's going to be, every single scout in the world is going to want him next season. I think we'll see teams tank to try to get Nico. You might see him get picked before the season is over with. He's one of those types of talents. Like, you don't see that sort of an arm strength and everything. With the speed, you don't see that very, very often. Now let's get to Twisted Fishing and Outdoors. Brazel is going to be nasty next year. Yeah, I hope so. He's going to be our fastest wide receiver. I think that's going to be in that room next year. So he's going to be our tallest and our fastest, more than likely. I don't know how some of the other guys' speed is going to look, but yeah, he's got everything that you want. Really wide catch radius too. Rogue is saying Brazel, Branch, Matthews starters, and then Boo can play slot for certain plays. Yeah, but you also got to think about Braylon Staley, because Braylon Staley is a dog. I think that Braylon Staley is going to be a better wide receiver than Boo is. Boo's going to be really good, but please don't sleep on Braylon Staley. Please don't do that, because I'd be fine with him starting this slot. I don't even know if we necessarily need a Zachariah Branch at this point. Would I take him? Of course, but I'm fine with Braylon Staley. That's just me personally. I'm fine with it. I don't know if we necessarily need that. I would almost say, hey, go out and get somebody that's not going to cost as much. Go out and get you 2 more guys who won't cost as much so that we have a little bit more depth there. And let's see, can we go add some better pieces up front? You see what I'm saying? Like, let's see if we can use that money somewhere else, because I don't know how much of I mean, I'm just kind of starting to feel like, Braylon Staley's really good, though. I just want to say it like that. Let's come on down to the wise man. Great news, go Big Orange. You know it. From Talking 10, also saying if Tennessee gets Branch and say Jefferson or Benson, then the coaching staff is going to have to play more than the normal free or the normal 3 wide receivers. I think is what he meant right there. Yeah, I think that's going to be a good thing. I think we kind of need that. But yeah, they are going to have to play more people, or people are just going to keep on leaving. You have to get the guys ready. You got to have different packages. I think we have gotten away enough from the tempo thing. I think hopefully Coach Heupel gets it now. We don't have to just always be about tempo. So it's okay to slow it down every now and then and get in a fresh group of wide receivers, or have a totally different group from series to series. You know what I mean? Like, I thought we would have done that this past season. I don't know why we didn't, but this year, yeah, you're going to have to do it. You're going to have to find a way to make that work. Or, like we said, some people probably won't be coaching here for too much longer. From Timmy G, morning to you, Timmy G, saying good morning, Vols. What's going on, bro? Happy to see you in the house. Talking 10, you can see Staley leave next, especially if Tennessee gets Branch also. That's the other part of it. I think that's kind of, I didn't really want to say that. I'm not saying that he would do it, but man, yeah, it is a little bit scary. If you add in, or if you bring in another slot guy like a Branch, I think especially, how does Braylon Staley feel heading into spring? Because this is just one portal window. We have one more left, and that one is going to be critical, because you can't lose anybody at that point, because it's very difficult. You're going to have to go find somebody almost like last minute. Not to say that there won't be good players there, but I think that will put Tennessee in a really tight spot. So let's hope that just, I'd rather just kind of roll with what you got. Maybe add Jefferson. I don't know if you really even need Branch at this point. From Matt S. saying, great news, Bull. I needed some good news. Yeah, I think we was all waiting on this one. Didn't know. I mean, I felt confident early on, and I was like, I don't know. I'm starting to feel a lot less confident, because why hasn't he, came back? But it just sounds like he wanted to, I guess, take his time with the whole deal. And really, it doesn't sound like he was ever really actually going to leave. I think he just wanted to use his leverage the same way that Nico did, to talk to the staff and say, look, this is something that has to be done. And sometimes that's the only way as a player that you can really talk to the coaches like that, where you have some leverage, where you're like, look, like, pay attention to me right now. Like, I need for you to understand that changes have to be made. Like, are we on the same page with that? I don't know if that's exactly how things went, but that's how I hope that things went. If they really say, hey, look, man, like, we want to see better route combinations. We need quicker stuff. And the young guys need to play. You know what I'm saying? Okay, let's get on to the next one. From Talking 10, maybe the receivers that were asked to leave. That were asked to leave because maybe the staff is wanting to go to a more speedy, athletic wide receiver group. I think that's possible. I definitely think that's possible. Let's get to Mike Harmon saying, look for Amari to join soon. Yeah, I think that's coming. It sounds like that one's trending towards Tennessee. So we might have another video today. I don't know if it'll be today, but at some point pretty soon, we probably will be adding a very good. And to me, he's kind of like a Chaz Nimrod. He's not as big. Chaz Nimrod was like 6'3", 220. So he's not as big. Jefferson's like 6 feet, 200 pounds. But he's that kind of a player to me. But I think he's a lot more twitchy. I think he can make a lot more things happen. And so, yeah, to add somebody like that. From Robert Lozano saying, what if Samson was 100% to go, and we played Ohio State with the same field conditions and Tim as Oregon? I think that the game would be a lot closer than the Oregon game was. That's just pure speculation, no. But I think that us missing Dylan Sampson was huge in that game. I think that was really big, and we still ran for like $150 on them. You know what I'm saying? I think Oregon, negative 23 yards rushing or something. I think if you look at the net, might have been 28 or, whatever, but they got sacked 8 times. Tennessee only got sacked 4 times. So, yeah, we looked actually a lot better in worse conditions, considering that it was very cold. We're playing on the road. It's not a neutral site game. Yeah, I think that. And then, too, think about it. Nico would have been playing, pretty much at his home, right? He's back in, the southern, southern Cali, like that LA area, which is where Nico is from. I think that he would have bought out. Most of his family probably would have been there. Would have been totally different. I think that if Tennessee got a different draw, then yeah, we might still be playing, potentially. But it just is what it is. I think that this was important. Sometimes things like this have to happen for the better, for the betterment of your program moving forward. And I think that that's what Tennessee. Hopefully, we're going to bounce back from this, and we'll be even stronger next season. That's my host. But that's going to be it for this one, y'all. We're not going to take up too much of your time this morning, but did want to get that out there. Wanted to kind of show you how the wide receiver room is looking. I'll pull that back up for anyone that has not seen it just yet. This is the ones down from 8 through 10. Those would be players that we could potentially add from the transfer portal. The other players, 1 through 4, that would be the veterans that are coming back, and then 5 through 7, those will be the freshmen. So, I mean, this room could potentially look a lot better. I do think that we're going to add number 8 right there, Jefferson. I think that he will be added. So we've got a lot better depth than what we thought we would have. That's very, very, very critical. And I think that we'll probably add at least one more body to this room. We might try to add everybody that we see on this list. I think that Tennessee might still be trying to do that. So we are in a good spot, but thank y'all for tuning in. I hope that y'all have a great rest of your Friday. Please do make sure to like and subscribe on your way out. Go Big Orange, huge day for us. Thank you. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.